prayers. And in the strangest of ways, right after my long flight, I'm introduced to the team of guys I was supervising, a group of 19 men from all over Greece. Among those was Alexander Duka and 7 other guys who came to work on the project from their home on a tiny Greek island called Halki. Ever heard of it? Yeah, me neither. It was a total population of 487, or about 479 since Alex and his guys came to work with me. As the weeks went on, I came to realize these 8 guys, who were all in their mid-50s, didn't have diabetes or even a single symptom of it. They were slim, healthy, and full of energy. Back home, I didn't know of one person over 50 who didn't have diabetes, let alone 8 of them. So that night, I took Alex to one side and told him all about my wife's conditions, her suicidal thoughts, and that she didn't have long until she might face another coma. If you know anything that can help her, please tell me, I pleaded. Alex smiled, patted me on the shoulder, and told me to wait where I was. A few minutes later, he returned with a notepad and a pencil and began to scribble down what looked like a recipe, complete with a list of strange foods, most of which I'd never even heard of. "What's this?" I asked, looking down at the list. "The secret you've been searching for," he said with a glint in his eye. "Our health is all down to the food we eat." He continued mysteriously, "Diabetes simply doesn't exist on our island. This recipe has been in my family for generations," he said. "Eat these foods and your wife will recover." With that, Alex stood up, gave me a knowing smile, and got back to work. Only then did I remember that Alex and his friends always made those homemade dressings with their lunch and dinner, sometimes even as a snack. They'd put them on salads, meats, veggies, and even just dip pita breads in them. The minute I returned home to the US, I began researching the ingredients from Alex's recipe. The first one was something called kohlrabi. What the heck was that, I thought? But according to several studies, kohlrabi, which is a type of vegetable similar to a cabbage, was abundant in 2 nutrients, sulforaphane and glucophane. Turns out both nutrients protect and repair lung epithelial cells against oxidative damage caused by tiny ambient air particulate matter and help detoxify and repair the body. Now stay with me here because this is where it gets very interesting. Particulate matter, also known as PM2.5, is a complex mixture of extremely small particles and liquid droplets. They are emitted by fuel burning and various industrial sources, but then get into the air and are inhaled. It's pretty scary, right? They are tiny, invisible, and they have a diameter of less than 2.5 micrometers, which is about 3% the diameter of a human hair. Scientists are just beginning to understand what exactly makes PM2.5 so harmful. But a major reason is that it's so small and contains toxic metals. Its size allows it to penetrate the lungs and enter the bloodstream. I wasn't sure what that had to do with diabetes until I began to search deeper and struck gold. A study of 3,080 participants with an average age of 56, published only 2 years ago by the American Diabetes Association, with barely a single view, concluded these results show the associations between long-term exposure to PM2.5 and biomarkers related to insulin resistance. And scarily, they found the prevalence of hypertension, myocardial infarction, stroke, and medication intake were higher in those exposed to PM2.5. Another buried study published in the National Institute of Environmental Health Science, headed by Timothy O2 PhD, had gone one step further and tested PM2.5 exposure on mice. They shockingly found that by reducing the exposure to PM2.5, insulin resistance was easily reduced. Then I found another study that made everything crystal clear. A study by a team from Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis and the Veterans Affairs St. Louis healthcare system linked PM2.5 pollution, even at levels deemed safe, to an increased risk of diabetes globally. Publishing their findings in Lancet Planetary Health, they not only concluded a definite association between